Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to the Blessed Possibilities Hangout with Julia Sotis and Katie Rubin. Hi, Katie.
Hello, hi.
I called this meeting because we need to talk about this book. It is so amazing. I'm reading through it and loving it, and I'm basing a class off of it, and we're doing a hangout on it. And Katie has a pretty cool story around it about doing a 7-day, but this book is based on a 7-day that Gary and Dane did in New Zealand 3 or 4 years ago. I missed that one, so I wasn't actually at it. So it is just blowing my mind. And I talked to Katie about it, and I said, Katie, would you like to host this book club? It just really felt light to have her energy in it. And she said, yes, Julia. And so now we're doing an 8-part book club, and I wanted to do this as an intro to the book club, and also just a shout out of get your book in your hands because it's phenomenal. So Katie, you were telling, I was watching the video that you made this morning about the book club and how you'd asked to do a 7-day, and
Yeah.
I'd love to, if you could tell everybody such an awesome story.
Yeah. So, we talk all the time in Access, you guys all know, and I don't know how many of you have done other systems or other things before Access, but this is a concept that I've learned in many places of ask and you shall receive. And Access, we focus a lot on questions. And just recently, I was just casually, just very gently, casually, the thought went through my mind of I'd like to get universe, I'd like to get the energy of a 7-day. I don't know what that is. It has hype around it, and people are like, 7 days are amazing, and your whole universe is different. It's gonna blow your mind. I'm like, it's probably just 7 days of what we already do, right? What's the big? But so then I was like, so I started to ask, what is the energy of that? And I'm not really creating that at this moment. I got other shit I'm creating. So what would it take for me to get the energy of a 7-day? And then Julia was like, this book, it's a 7-day. Let's do the club. Read the book. And I was like, what? And it was so quick after I had been asking that question that it was just cool. And it's that thing of things show up, you ask for stuff and they show up in different ways. I didn't get a plane ticket to Malawi or wherever the thing is happening.
Malaysia.
Whatever. Sure. But here we are getting to explore a 7-day class, whatever the hell that is. And some of you know better than I do. In book form and from the comforts of our living room. And I'm excited about that, which brings me to a question I have for you, Julia, which is what do you know about 7 days? What are they that makes them?
Help me turn on this light so you guys can see my face a little bit. No, that's a good question. Well, my first 7-day was in Costa Rica, 5 years ago. And I was really on the fence about going because it was so expensive. It was $4,200 at the time, which now is luckily no longer that expensive in my world, but at the time it was $4,200. But at the same time, I also just did it. I just was put it on the credit card, and I closed my eyes, and it was fine. And so I went, and when I got there, it was midnight, and then we had another 3-hour drive. Oh no, I'm mixing 2 7-days. Okay, with the second 7-day I went to in Costa Rica, we had this 3-hour drive out to a new resort that I'd never been to. The one before had been in a little place we called Smurf Village. And it was the 7-day is it's like summer camp in a way, but for these shimmering, breathing possibilities of the future that doesn't exist yet. And it was so palpable and so strong to me as we took the bus for 3 hours up to this this really
You're welcome. Everybody's awake now.
I'm and the meadows, and
you're
you're But it was just, I was so aware of what could be. And so I went to that 7-day and it was amazing. And by day 4 or 5, I think in my first one, it got really hard. And I was like, I shouldn't have come here. I don't want to be here. And I came up against all these really, really big walls. But I just kept going. I'm like, well, I'm here. And I kept going. And a lot of what that 7-day was for me, it was like, it actualized that week. It was like everything that I knew was possible. It was the first time I had met a lot of these people, and it was just like everything was so light, and everybody just, it was this different contribution. And, you know, we say in Access, just because somebody's in Access doesn't mean they're not an asshole. But it's like, for me, from my perspective, at this particular 7-day, it was like, I just felt like the kindness of what people were. And I was just so bright-eyed and wide-eyed and imaginative and curious and exploratory. And it was just, you know, and of course to say what was said in class, I don't remember. But we were in this room, and it, you know, 6:30 p.m. would come along, and Gary would still be talking, and it'd be pitch black outside. And I would, you know, I had my new friend that I was cuddling with, I'm sure, and it was just like, you know, switching body processes. And then that was the first time that anybody ran crown and perineum body process on me, which, like, somebody touches your perineum, which is, you know, kind of off limits in this reality. And I asked Blossom Benedict too. I was like, Blossom, I don't want anybody else to touch my perineum. Run this process on me. And she's like, sure. And it was just the energies and the spaces and the magic that really truly was that 7-day for me. It was that. And then I came home and everything was wonky and scary. And then I would say, like, within a few years, my life has that buoyancy and that lightness and that kindness. And the people in my life have that level of quality and kindness and lightness now and so it was in many ways a 7-day as a seed for the future. If you think that you're going to go and all your problems are going to be solved and you're never going to have a thought, feeling, or emotion again, you're fooling yourself. But it's about what the future can be. And it's sort of like, you know how we talk about Gary gives people wedgies, like they can give somebody a wedgie?
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's like a wedgie, and then that will never leave your life again, that energy, and it will permeate into your future. And no matter what, you're screwed because you're going to have a lighter future.
So that's amazing. And thank you. What do you know about this book and this 7-day that this book embodies or encapsulates, or whatever words we want?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna read page 61, which is the chapter. It's not actually, the chapters are just have titles. They don't actually have like chapter 1, chapter 2, which I find really endearing.
I like the idea that you just read page 61 of every book you read. You're like, guys, we're doing a hangout. We're looking at page 61.
I think it should be a new series. We should go through every page 61 of every Access book.
What if that's where all the nuggets of goodness are? That's like the gem of the book. Is
not gonna lie, but I think I'm gonna go through my bookshelf after this to page 61, and I'll get back to you on that.
Good times.
So let me read page 61 here. So what is the value of fighting happiness? So the participant says, and it's conversational, this book. So I'll be reading the participant in our 8-week book club that we would like to invite you all to. I'll be reading participant, and Katie will be reading, or I'll be reading Gary, and Katie will be reading participant, and we'll go through it.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we have auditions? I'd really like to play the role of Gary. I went to grad school.
You're a trained actor, so I'm going to get down to participant.
I have a graduate degree in acting.
Okay, we'll talk.
All right. I'm going to have my agent call you.
Okay, maybe we'll have a panel on Zoom. We'll have like interview panel, and everybody can vote who gets to be Gary.
Oh, you can dial in on your phone and vote. Well, it's *7 for Katie Rubin.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Okay, so happiness. What is the value of fighting happiness? Participant. I've been intensely aware of how much violent resistance there is against happiness in the world. It seems like everybody is being violent or violently miserable every minute. People are so not happy. Gary, they don't want to be happy. Participant. A couple of years ago, you gave me the process. What's the value of fighting happiness? It stopped me in my tracks. And I realized that every single thing I had been upset about was my fighting of happiness. That is still the case, but it is getting easier. So Gary says, what have you made so vital about possessing unhappiness that keeps you from all other choices? And the book is filled with clearing statements too. Powerful. Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pot, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Unhappiness is the way we eliminate choice and life. Not choice in life, choice and life. And what many people are avoiding is life.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what is life?
Life is hard to explain in words. It's like life is like when I'm driving my 3 stepkids to school, and for some reason there's just so much energy and so much enthusiasm for living like swirling around us that it's like driving the kids to school feels like an extreme sport. It's like it's light.
Wow.
It's like there's no separation between me and the trees outside and the kids, and I play classical music as much as I remember to, and the classical music, and it's like and like when you're like actively moving forward into your future. I used to just I would beg the universe, like, because I was so bored sitting in my room, like bartending and like doing access classes, like sort of. Well, I did them. That's when I started the money workbook and invited everybody into my living room. And, those were the first readings of the money workbook class. But it was like, I would just beg the universe, like, please, if all I want is just enough to do and enough to live. And what I was asking for, not having the word for it, is asking for life.
You know what, Julia Sotis? I just had a moment of clarity here, and I wonder if this is resonant for anyone listening, is that there was literally a moment when I was probably 9 or 8 or something, where I was in my dad's Datsun. He had a gray, shitty 1984 Datsun. And he had sidebar that he had duct taped. My dad was a charming, interesting man. He had duct taped the bumper. The bumper had fallen off in an accident, and he duct taped it on. And then people started calling it the Duckmobile. So he put little ducks all around the edges of it, stenciled ducks on the car. Anyway, that's just a side note. So we're in the car, and I turned to him. My dad always had this looming, smart guy, mysterious presence. And I turned to him, and I was like 8 or something. And I said, Dad, what's more important, truth or happiness? Because I was really thinking about it at 8.
That's not a usual 8-year-old. That's how my thoughts were too. That's really
girl, I was like thinking about shit, and I was like, what's more important? Because I had already been wrestling with there's moments where you're true, like, it's like, oh, I see the truth, but I'm not happy. And then there's moments where I'm like, I'm so happy, but where'd the truth go? And like, I was confused about it. So I turned to him. I remember turning, and he was so tall, and I looked up to him and I said that, and he turned to me and he was like, kid, not everybody's priority on this planet is to be happy. And like, boom, shut it down. And I just learned I learned when you're smart and you're looking for truth and you want to be authentic, happy is like a dumb priority. It's
right.
Dumb.
Totally.
And how many of us?
Totally.
I mean, it's like this whole reality is built on that notion. It's built on many notions, but
yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like we just read, see, page 61.
Page
All there.
motherfucking one. Yeah. All right, let me read on a couple paragraphs. That's really cool. All right, so that's okay. So unhappiness is the way we eliminate choice and life, which is really neat that I get to explain life on a Hangout.
Yeah, I just learned some shit.
Yeah. So participant says, that's exactly what's happening, but it feels powerful or correct. Right? It's correct. Just like you said in the Duckmobile. Gary said, it is powerful. Everybody has the brakes on, and you put yours on too. Get that?
Yeah.
So like when I'm talking about like how so much of my life now feels like an extreme sport and everything is living and exciting, it's like, it's because I don't have the brakes on really anymore. But it says everybody else has the brakes on and you put yours on too. It is the same way people control your money. They throw the brakes on and then you throw the brakes on too to make sure you don't crash into their world. And then participant says, you crash into their world anyway. It says, or you could have a Back to the Future car and fly over the top of them.
That's good.
And that's the different possibility.
And that's what we're talking about too with manipulation, I think.
Yes.
Manipulation doesn't have to be some power over. It can be you just fly your hovermobile right over what they're doing.
Exactly. All right. So sometimes, so Gary says, sometimes when people do unhappiness, I say, oh, you poor thing, I am sad for you. Am I? Hell no. Why not? Because their sadness is a creation. It's not a reality. It's an invention. Are you aware of how much people love being unhappy? And I love how Gary gives the line, man, if my life was as bad as yours, I would just kill myself. That's tough. Somebody's complaining in their tracks. Participant says, yes, myself included. And I'll read one more paragraph. Gary says, yes, but is that unhappiness yours? Or are you slamming on the brakes because everybody else has the brakes on? Why don't you just fly right over them? Grow wings. If you are a phenomenons, and that's what this 7-day was about, phenomenons. I'm not going to get too much into that, but phenomenons is being everything you are and not putting the brakes on and having full life. Pardon me. If you are a phenomenon, you have the wings to go beyond. You want to settle with a bunch of sheep instead of being with the geese that can fly away. Okay? So you know, I love that part, and I love all parts. That's not a uniquely great passage for the book. It's every passage is a uniquely great passage, but yeah, there's just so much power and wonder in this book. It's hitting me more so than, I mean, I talk about Salon de Femmes as like, I wouldn't be able to be married and I wouldn't have my family if I hadn't read the Salon de Femmes. That book got me through so many energetic blocks of what I was willing to receive that I just know that if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to receive it. Bless you, Katie. And Anthony will say the same about reading The Gentleman's Club. And for me, this book to me is that, but for life and happiness. It's like there's also Gary's class, Happiness is Just a Choice, that he did, and him and Dane. But it's like this book for me is like the doorway to living and happiness. And it is flooring me, who spends 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, reading Access, doing Access, facilitating Access, taking Access, transcribing Access, and writing Access. And this book is just flooring the level of beauty that it is opening the doors to. So,
I have a question for you that may seem a little bit off topic, but I think kind of gets at the heart of what we're talking about here. Yeah. Can you speak for you like a little bit about, I'm trying to think how I want to frame the question. It's like, why access, like for you?
Yeah.
And
No,
did
that's
you
a good question.
dabble in other stuff, or like why? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I'll give you the little short minute version timeline. When I was like, I remember being like, yeah, like 8, 9, 10, and being like, well, even 4 and 5, I would be like, is it predetermined that I'm walking this way in the house? Or is it my destiny that I have to walk this way in the house? Well, like 4 and 5. And then it turned into 9 and 10, which is like, I don't feel that happy. Like, I'm not that happy. I'm like 9 and 10, and I'm thinking, I'm not that happy. So karma obviously isn't real because I do everything as properly and kindly as I can. So then I'm like, okay, so that's not the key to happiness. Realizing that, because I should be happier if it is a matter of karma. And then at 13, I got my first set of tarot cards, and I was told that if you sleep with your tarot cards, that would make you more connected to your tarot cards, which would make you more aware. So I slept with this painful box under my pillow every night for about probably actually like 1 week until I gave up. But I would read my tarot cards to everybody. And then about 15 years old was the Eckhart Tolle phase and Deepak Chopra. And I did have an amazing experience when I was 15 in my basement. Oprah was doing a book club with Eckhart Tolle's book online.
Yeah.
And I was totally given the awareness of like everything that is possible. And I knew enough not to go to my parents and tell them anything or say anything to anybody. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I was like, everything is so beautiful and everything's going to be exactly as I know it can be.
Wait a minute. This is from one book or from several books in Oprah's Club?
Just A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, Eckhart Tolle's book. Got it.
Yeah. Which he doesn't give any tools, really. He's like, breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe. You will become everything you want to be. I'm like, fuck you, Eckhart. It doesn't work.
That guy has an interesting story, though, because that's what I'm talking about. Is everybody's journey is different. That guy's story is very interesting. I don't want to derail you, though. I want to tell you.
His story is interesting.
Yeah,
we could have a whole hangout on that.
But like, we're not all Eckhart Tolle. The point being, we're all people trying to like be happy with hope, which is why access tools. Yay. Okay, shutting.
Right. He's like, this is possible, and I'm happy on a park bench, in Vancouver.
Right.
And okay, cool, Eckhart, but breathing's not getting me there.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And then, when I was 19, I came across the tools of access consciousness, and now I'm 25. So I've been doing it for 6 years. And for me, it was just like, I was the second that I heard it was a radio show. I was like, I called my dad, and I'm such an enthusiastic person. I was like, Dad, I found this thing, and it's the best thing ever, and it's it, and I know it's it, and it's everything I've been looking for. And he's like, so it's mediocre then? But I was corrected by awareness. It's like, for me, it's the results. I do it for the results. It's like life, the relationship, the intimacy, the kindness, the communion with the earth, the money, the people that surround me. It's like, it's all a result of using these tools. It's all of it.
That's amazing. And what would you say, okay, the happiness thing, I'm glad you read magical page 61, clearly. Where it all is. But would it be fair to, okay, I've always had this vision since forever, like I was 6 or 8 or something.
Totally, yeah.
And I had this knowing that this is how I phrased it when I was like 16, and I had like this drug dealer boyfriend who was like not going places in life in any way that made any sense to me. But I was in love with him, so I stayed with him, and he loved me, and we were in love. But I remember one time I said to him, I've always had this vision of myself at a podium, this is just how I saw it, speaking to thousands of people about the fact that unity is real. That's what I said at the time. That was my language. And there is a way to get light into your body and pull out or move out all the heavy stuff. And he said, this is a true story. He said to me, like, there was a long pause, and then he goes, I just want to eat pizza. That's literally what he said to me. And I was like, I think we have to break up really soon. But anyway, that's a sidebar point too.
I mean, that is a perfect example for most of life. Like, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
And whenever you bore me from now on, I'm gonna be like, Katie, I just want
to eat pizza. Perfect. So the point being, since I was a kid, I've had this sense of like, you can go into the heavy places and pull them out somehow, or you could bring light to the heavy, or you could dissolve the heavy, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be straight with everybody on this call and everybody in the world and say, like, I go happy, contract. I don't have consistent happy yet. I don't even know if I 100% buy that it's a thing.
Right.
I buy that a lot of people have more of this. And, you know, Dane will talk about this. He'll say, you know, you contract, you expand, contract, expand. So my question finally is like, has it been the case for you that there's just more and more time in the day or time in the month, or however you want to frame it, where, or maybe time is not the word.
It sounded like time of the month. That's all. That's all.
Do you menstruate more? That is my question. It's not my question. Is there more time in your life and in your actual body on this planet here now where you're
truly happy?
Yeah, embodied.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. End of conversation. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you for coming to Hangout. But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's like I still am thinking a lot. Like, I really would like to stop thinking. And I think about money a lot. Like, I worry about money still, but that's pretty much the only thing I worry about. Before, it was a lot of things. But money, and I mean in the sense of like, it's like I made my target of money that I wanted to make this year. But it's like, it's still, okay, so now I have that, and it's like what else is possible? I have to at least triple, quadruple that, you know, if to have what I would like to have this year. And I worry about it, and it's like, that gets me down, but it's insanity. And as really as I'm saying it out loud, it's total insanity. So I do have that. And what I do is, it doesn't last long though, because I don't resist using the tools like I used to. I'm unhappy. Before, I would resist using the tool. Now I'm going, okay, so I'm going to run a clearing loop. Done. And then get happy again. So it is, and it becomes more of a choice the more you practice using the tools become easier to go to, because it's actually like, it's like we resist the tools so much. And over time, you'll stop resisting going to the tool, because the tool will always work. It won't work instantly sometimes, and I think we expect it to work instantly. But it's like, if I do interesting point of view, I have this point of view, like a week later with somebody, a week later, I'll be like, I like that person. Whereas I loathed them a week ago, but I can see the greatness now, and I'm willing to see the unkindness and whatever, but I can just see them. I'm aware of them, whatever, perceive them. So, yeah.
I had a client the other day on that topic who I taught, you know how, for me, I teach this stuff and facilitate and work with clients in large part to remind myself all day. It's like you teach to know what you need to know. And I that's part of why I love, you know, anyway, doing this stuff. But I taught him, ask a question, follow what's light. And there was another piece, is this mine or someone else's? Like Glenna Rice recently taught me, if who does this belong to isn't working for you, try, is this mine or someone else's? And no problem. And so short, to wrap this up, just in brief, I taught him those things, and he said that he was freaking out about a girlfriend thing, and he obsessively was asking, is this mine or someone else's? Is this mine or someone else's? Is this mine or someone else's? And he was like, I was getting no answer, and nothing happened. And then he said, 3 days later, I was sitting in my room, and he said there was like this he's like, there was like a demon and I don't even believe in demons, and the demon just went away, and all of a sudden my obsession about the girl was gone. And he was telling them as if they were two separate stories unrelated to each other. And I was like, do you get that he was like, so what do I do? And I was like, wait a minute, you just told me a story of how the tools worked for you. It's just that because it didn't come instantaneously, you thought it wasn't, but you asked the question, you followed what was light, and an awareness was revealed.
Right.
Not an answer in that 10 seconds per se.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. And that's something that took me a while to get, is like, it's not going to be instantaneous. Sometimes it takes a day. Sometimes it takes 3 days, but it's pretty fast. And also there's things like with the 7-day, it's like sometimes that 7-day will actualize as your life 10 years after the 7-day. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be somebody who's willing to invest in the greater future. So you have to look, if I choose this now, what future is that going to create? Oh, Peggy's asking a really good question. The obvious question: what is a blessed possibility? A blessed possibility. Well, the blessed possibilities are what is around us all the time that allow us to have life, like I was talking about. So it's like somebody's screen sharing. Oh, that's my grandma. Baba, you're screen sharing. That was a great moment. I don't know how to make her stop screen sharing, but we're almost at the end anyway. So, but a blessed possibility is like the kindness and the possibility for you to have life. And it's like a blessed possibility is like the trees outside that are alive. A blessed possibility is like the kindness of a person. Can we see her? Everybody see her? That's my Baba. Hi, Baba. We can all see.
Hi,
Baba. So that's actually, I'm really distracted.
I know, that's so funny.
I mean, that's utterly distracting. Oh, I love you, Baba. So yeah, a blessed possibility is like what lives around you all the time that you have to ask for. And I always give people the question, what are the greatest possibilities available? So that's definitely a question that you want to ask over and over and over and over. I don't know how to get somebody to stop screen sharing.
One thing, if I could add briefly, I'm wondering about too, while we wait for the screen sharing to stop, is like, the more I've been experiencing ask and you shall receive, like actually practically working in my life, I have a million examples I could give, but the more I'm sort of thinking of it as like, you know how we talk about the quantum entanglements of the universe, like you ask a question and the quantum entanglements of the universe go to work to bring you what you're asking for. Mm-hmm. That is, so it's almost like the soup of the energy we're being in, the soup of consciousness that is everywhere and everything is blessed possibilities, because or in the sense that once you're tapping into your own being and asking questions from there and then receiving what the universe is giving, all of the soup of that, which is consciousness itself, is a blessed possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, blessed possibility is not really a definable thing, but it's like we are like it has to do a lot with gratitude too. It's like we are blessed and we are blessed, and it has a religious connotation as well, but I mean it's like it's all the greatness that lives around us and that we be. So all right, well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Grandma, for being here.
Yeah, I'm really excited by how many of us are here today, and I'm grateful everybody showed up to chat about this, and I'm excited to really get deep with this thing. I mean, we're going to go through this entire book in a pretty short period of time, and I kind of get that it's going to be awesome and intense, and I don't even know what's going to come up and move out, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, and we're going to read through a lot of the book, but I think this book is like, there are so many parts that are so stunning and so brilliant that it will be very conversational and diving into like the deepest parts of this, so that it's not just, you're reading the book on your own in your room. It's like we're going to get together and we're going to like take all of the greatness of this. And, you know, if things come up for you guys during the book club, it's like, you know, ask a question, and there we go. We're not screen sharing anymore.
Yay!
It's like, you know, it's going to be very conversational, and we're going to get the greatest possibilities out of this. And it's going to be a level of just of commitment, and it's a whole other energy than anything I've ever facilitated before. You know, I facilitate a lot of different classes every week, and this, it's just so huge and far reaching, and it's such a big invitation.
Yay!
So, looking forward to it.
It's a 7-day in a book.
7-day in a book.
In a book. Okay.
Yeah, it's huge. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And we've got the whole world here, and my grandma. And actually, my parents are in Laos right now too, so they're not on. They're far away. But we really do have the whole world, and I'm so grateful for you guys. And, you know, it's not about whether you join the book club or not. That's not what I care about. It's like that you actually look at what's possible with this book and apply it and create your life with these freaking beautiful tools and everything that you know is possible. So
Thanks, Julia. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. Namaste.
Namaste. Om Shanti.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.